Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I am so excited today to be joined by Naglee. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I am so excited today to be joined by Naglee. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I am so excited to be joined by Naglee. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I am so excited to be joined by Naglee. Hello, everybody. I am so excited to be joined by I don't know what is happening. I actually don't know.
I'm going to blame myself because it's technical.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. We are being joined today by Naglee. She's one of our amazing GiRLiFE coaches who is out there in the world doing some fantastic stuff. And I can't wait to really dive further deep into the work that she's doing. But first, welcome, Ali. So happy you're here.
Thank you. I am so excited to be here. I'm honored, and I love talking to other women who are interested in this field. And yeah, I'm ready. I'm excited to dive in.
So good. We're excited to have you. And I'm, even though I'm a health coach as well, I'm selfishly excited because I have so many questions for you about how we empower our family to eat well and nourish their bodies. In the GiRLiFE world, we always talk about the primary foods as well as the secondary foods, which is why I know we're speaking the same language here. But first and foremost, what was it that really was the encouraging factor for you to become a health coach?
Oh my gosh. Well, I have always been interested in health and wellness, and it was my husband, who is amazing. I'm very lucky. Once I became a mom, life just sort of stopped. And I'm sure a lot of moms can relate. Like, you sort of lose your identity and you forget who you are because you're so focused on taking care of these little humans, which is huge. It's a blessing that I never want to take for granted. But my husband kept urging me to find a hobby, and because I still felt guilty. I felt guilty for not feeling fulfilled in that role as a mom, because I know for so many, it's something that not every woman can do, no matter how much they want it. And I felt guilty for that, but I still knew in my heart that there was something more to give. And the only way that I could be the best mom is to actually fill my cup too. And I've always been interested in health and nutrition. Even like back in high school, I did an internship at a hospital in their nutrition department. Like, I always wanted to help and be in those environments. And then so I decided to just go back to school for myself, for literally for the benefit of my family, become a health coach. And when I realized that I actually could make a career out of it, was like this light bulb moment. And so I did. I went back to school, and then I just started. I only work with women, specifically moms, but all women. But my clientele generally is moms of elementary aged kids. Some are actually empty nesters too. But yeah, it's so fulfilling, because I think with the work that I do, and every health coach is different. Every health coach has different areas of focus. Mine is holistic. So I feel like, if you come to me for weight loss, for example, we are not going to just focus on what you're eating. We're actually looking at the big picture. We're looking at what's going on in your life. Where are the gaps? What's missing? Like, a lot of times it's not the food that you're eating that's the problem. It's actually what you're not doing for yourself. And things just fall into place. We get really into your values and your vision and your priorities, and really putting those front and center, and making lifestyle changes that are sustainable, that fit into your life, because everyone is different. Everyone has different priorities. And so giving women an opportunity to really get clear, because I don't think we do that. We don't give ourselves that time to actually think about what's important in my life. What are my values? What is my vision? How do I see myself in a year, 5 years from now? What does my ideal life look like? And actually give you tools to design the life that you love, because you deserve it, and you're worth it. And it took me a really long time to think that for myself. So it's so fulfilling to see that and guide women through that experience, and seeing their cups filled and seeing their lives transform just with small changes.
That's so beautiful, Allie. And there are so many things that you touched on there that I just want to like bring light to. The first thing you said is about women and being in that role of motherhood and sometimes feeling like it's not enough. And then the guilt that goes along with it. Like, my goodness, there's so much we place on ourselves that doesn't help us to move forward in life in any way, really. But let's like dig into that a little bit. Like, women, mothers are humans, and before they had their children, they had a whole life, right? Consisting of, like, I'm thinking of the health coaching wheel of life, right? Like, we think about our spirituality and we think about our friend groups and we think about our social life and our careers and all of these things. And yet somehow, and I don't think fathers do this, but somehow when we step into that role of motherhood, all of a sudden, all of those other areas shrink. They're like a smaller piece of that pie. And we feel like we need to put everything in the mommy bucket. And we feel guilty if we don't. Tell me a little bit more about that, because you clearly experienced it. I'm sure a lot of your clients experienced it. I know for sure. I still, to this day, like, my kids are going to college next year, God willing. And
Yeah.
I still like all of the other parts of my life have shrunk because I'm like, I've got this one opportunity to raise these girls, to be present for them. And here I am. I'm like the one who's always saying, like, no, like, we need to keep it balanced because one day they fly out of the nest and, we need to still have a life for ourselves. And yet it's so difficult to do. So talk to us about that.
Yeah, I mean, one day, yeah, like you said, they're going to be gone, and then you're going to be like, what happened? Like, who am I?
Mhm.
And I think there's a misconception when it comes to taking care of ourselves. Like, it's not selfish. Like finding the things that make you happy is actually a gift to show your kids, because when you fill yourself up, you're going to give the best version of yourself to them. And if you are holding resentment, if you're miserable and you don't even realize why you're miserable, but if you're just like always in a negative mood, you're always feeling resentful to your husband for doing all these things, or your partner, because you're not able to do it, or you take on like that martyr role of like trying to do everything, but then you hold resentment and hold it over people's heads, like that's also not healthy. So, it is a blessing not only to yourself, but also to your kids that look up to you, because one day, whether you have daughters or sons, they may become parents and you want them. I mean, I know for me, I want better for my kids. And so I want them to never feel guilty for pursuing the things that make them happy, because it's just like a ripple effect. We become creatures of habit, or creatures of our environment. And unless you're super intentional about changing that pattern, if it was a negative one or something that you want to change, we are just going to fall into the same patterns that we were brought up with. And so doing something for yourself, and it doesn't have to be time consuming. It doesn't have to be every day, but filling your cup in some capacity, and even sharing it with your family too. Like, if it is eating healthier, like you mentioned before, sharing that with your family. I know it's hard. I have two boys, I know, and one is a really good eater and one is super picky. But I find that encouraging them and including them and having them be part of the cooking process, if you can, not every time, I know it's not reasonable, but giving them that autonomy and that choice, and having them be a part of your lifestyle changes, I think is one way to empower them to, to make healthier changes, and to, for it to be like a family priority, in a sense, if that's something that you want your family to do. It's, you have to model the behavior that you want. You can't just tell your kids what to do. You have to model it yourself, because
Absolutely.
they're smart.
They're so smart and they pick up on all of it. And I love the piece where you said, and then you tied it all up with a bow by saying you have to model it. You said, we don't want our kids to grow up and be those like martyrs who are like, I have no life because I'm a parent. You want to show them that like being a mother has many different like looks, right? There are many
Mhm.
different ways and we can choose by design. the way that we show up. And that's the greatest gift that we give to them. And earlier, you talked about creating a life by design, creating a life that's aligned with your values and your vision. And I think like so many of us just go through the motions of life and we never really think about designing our life, right? Just like we choose an outfit each morning, we get to choose like the little different pieces of our life and what they look like. And we have so much power to do that, but we don't even realize and acknowledge it. And when we do, I think it's a game changer. So for anyone who's never even thought of creating a life vision, like what can we share with them about that?
Yeah, there's, you want to sit down, and when I work with clients, that's like one of the first things that we do. And it's funny because it's a lot of questions, it's a lot of digging, it's a lot of it can get uncomfortable actually, because we don't sometimes we want to hide our feelings and we want to mask them with other things. So you want it, just without working with me, I would just suggest putting up a list of values, just Googling values, and then picking out your top 3 values and making sure that the choices that you make in life, represent the values. Like that would be the easiest thing. And when I work with clients too, we talk about boundaries, and not just like with people, but with choices. And a lot of people get very, what's the word? Scared off, or they find the word boundaries like standoffish or too restrictive. But having that self-discipline and the boundaries around choices is actually hugely freeing, in my opinion, because it makes decision-making so much easier. So when you're clear on what's important to you in life and your boundaries and your values, you can set up boundaries around a decision that you have to make. So, I think it's really important. And like that is always the foundational step when we work together, is figuring those out, because then as we work together, the goals that we set are always around, do these line up with your values? Because honestly, when I work with somebody, I want them to feel good when we're done working. I want them to feel like they have the tools necessary to feel confident when we're not together. And so whenever you make a decision and you have your values front and center, you're always going to use them as an anchor and go back to them. And so it's never going to be, you're still going to have obstacles that come up. But again, if you are so secure on your values, then it's going to be so much easier to make decisions along the way that line up with those. So that would be the first step, I would say, is get clear on your values and your priorities.
Yeah, like it's this guidepost, right? So like life is filled with choices. We're making choices in every moment of every day. So like, let's say one of my values was empowerment, right? And when I'm making a choice, like, am I going to go this way or that way? Would the most empowered version of me respond in this way or that way? Would that be like a good example?
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly right. And yeah, we make so many decisions on a daily basis. Like we have decision fatigue. So in order to just, feel good about those decisions, because sometimes, I don't know about you, I'll make a decision and I'll be like, either regretting it or like second guessing myself. And, like indecision is like, it's such a big problem. But when you are very clear on what is important to you in life, it's not to say that maybe sometimes you'll make the wrong decision, or maybe you'll make a decision, based on something else. We all make mistakes, but for the most part, you will make decisions so much faster and so much more confidently, and you'll allow things to just go by the wayside. And it's so much more freeing, and you just feel lighter,
Yeah, it's so liberating. And I don't remember where I heard this, but like, so many of us, like you said, we make the decision and then perhaps we regret it. We make the decision and then we're second guessing ourselves and thinking that would have been the better decision. But even so, like we do your activity where we look at like, is this decision aligned with my values? We make the decision, but then we also make that decision the best decision we could have made. So like we truly put all of our belief in the fact that we made the right decision and align all of our actions with that right decision, which I feel like is like a second step to what you brilliantly laid out for us. Make it the best decision because you chose it. There was something within you, your intuition, your values that was like, this is the way to go. Okay, now let's put action behind this one way to go. So just to like, yeah, just as a second to that.
It can go along with your food choices. It can go along with your exercise routine. It can go along with relationships. I mean, literally, like you could put your values and visions with any category in your life. So it's funny because as when I do work with women, and this is a big chunk in the beginning, they always say, when I circle back at the end, they always say it was difficult, but it was their favorite part because it really gave them the opportunity to get clear on their life, because we don't take that time to be intentional. And so I think it's worth it. It's so worth just taking a minute, whether you work with me or not, get clear on your values and then make decisions based on that.
Amazing activity. And everyone who's listening, please do that because it is so clarifying. I love it. And I love that you've brought it up because you've reminded me of this values assessment tool. Like I need to get in there and do that because our values do change over time as well, right? They're deeply ingrained, but at the same time, as we evolve, so do our values. So it's important to do this frequently, like maybe once a year, once every 6 months. So I brought up primary and secondary foods. Would you be able to share with everyone what is a primary food? What's a secondary food? And then talk to us about how you integrate both of these into your coaching practice.
Yeah. So primary foods, you mentioned the circle of life. That's a tool that that I learned about in my health coaching school. We went to the same school, right? Yes. And so primary foods are actually not the foods that you put in your mouth. It's actually your spirituality, like you mentioned, creativity. It's your home environment. It's your finances. It's your stress level. It's your sleep. It's all of these big picture things that have effect on us on a daily basis. And then secondary foods would be actually the food that we eat, the nutrition portion. And so when you get clear on your values and your visions and you can make those food choices. If you do come to me for weight loss, for example, you can decide on, if I want to lose like X amount of weight or whatever it is, does this food choice align with my value or my priority right now? And it's ironic, a lot of times, even if people come to me for weight loss, we rarely even talk about food, but the weight comes off.
Right.
So yes. And it's which I love because I am not the type of coach that's we don't count calories. We don't track macros. I don't really, I think there's a time and place for that, but I'm more intuitive, and I want women to eat for their body and how they feel. And when you eat for how you feel, if losing weight is your goal, you will lose the weight. If getting back into a physical routine or movement is a goal of yours, you will get re-motivated to get back into that routine. Like when you focus on like the big picture, like the big things that are affecting your everyday life, sorry, you will find the missing pieces. Like one of my clients, she wanted to run a race. She used to be a big runner, and she just lost the willpower to get back running again. And we were focusing on her goals, but she was never reaching her goals. Every week we would check in, and so we would make tweaks here and there. And we realized that she was really lacking or missing her photography. She loved photography, and she put that on the back burner. She had a crazy stressful job, very demanding job, and she put her photography hobby on the side, and she forgot about it. And so we started picking that back up again, and she was running a race by the end of our program.
Oh my.
So, and we didn't even touch, So it was like she fulfilled that gap in her life, which made her so happy, which made her want to continue to improve her life. And so I think sometimes we focus on the wrong things to get to the end result. And we think it's the obvious choice, but as women, as moms, we are thrown so much. We are so stressed out. We are making decisions left and right. We have so much on our plates. And, again, we forget about ourselves as individuals. And so when we forget about ourselves, we are not filling our buckets. I'm thinking of GiRLiFE stuff. We're not filling our own buckets. And so we take for granted the fact that we are people too, and we need to make ourselves happy. We have to do that. No one's going to do that for ourselves, for us. So we got to take back that control.
That's unbelievable, Ali. And you are such an insightful coach, truly, that you were able to work with your client to pinpoint the things she wasn't doing, the things she gave up that resulted in her not accomplishing the goal she wanted to accomplish. It's just so clarifying. And this is why the work that we do with coaches and the work that we do as coaches is so important, because it's like, if you're not nurturing those passions, like that's one part of the wheel of life, right? If you're not nurturing those passions, you almost forget the zest for life. And like I said earlier, you go through the motions, you wake up, you're on automatic, right? Like autopilot, and you're doing all the things, you're having your morning coffee, taking the kids to school, getting to work. But like, what is it that's lighting you up? What are you excited about? And you were able to touch on that for your client. And it's so important. So like, as an action step for anyone listening right now, I'm thinking like, what's that one thing that you love to do for yourself that you've put on the back burner because you're like, it takes too much time, or it doesn't make me money, or it's like too much efforting and I don't have it in me. Like, let's bring that back. Let's bring back those things that bring you that joy. Because like, that's what life's about at the end of the day. It's not about going through the motions. It's about doing it with intention and having things that really remind us what it is to live.
Yeah, I think sometimes we forget, like we're parents, like we're telling other people what to do, but like no one's telling us what to do. We have to tell ourselves what to do, but yeah, it's all about being intentional. And if we don't have intention behind the things that we do, we'll just wake up, get in our routine. Tomorrow is another day. And before we know it, we are 10 years older than we were. And life is so precious. And I just feel like, yeah, if you could take one action step, just one baby step, if it is like you were like really into dance at 10 years old and you still have that little, fire burning inside of you, and just research local dance places. Just research it. Like, don't make any other moves, just baby steps. Research that local place, find out how much it costs, and then talk to your partner. Can you watch the kids like for 45 minutes, like one night a week? Just keep making those baby steps. And then maybe commit once a month at the beginning, then maybe every other week, or, and just, it doesn't have to be so much all at once. Like, you have to make it work for your lifestyle. But I think sometimes we get into this like all or nothing type of mentality, and it doesn't have to be like that.
It doesn't have to be like that. And I love that you talk about the all or nothing. Something we talk about in the GiRLiFE world a lot is that like, those things that bring us joy, we don't have to be a 10 at them. We don't have to be the best at them. We don't even have to be great at them. But like, if it brings you joy, then that in and of itself is enough. So like, I love to sing, I'm not the best singer in the world, and I don't subject anybody else to it, but it brings me a great deal of joy to sing. And so I'm doing it. It's not to get up on a stage. It's not to record myself. It's simply because that in and of itself is filling me up. It's giving me a release. It's doing all the things. So you want to paint, go paint. It doesn't matter if you're not like a professional, or the photography that your client was doing. She doesn't have to be a photographer per se, but she can just go take those photos for the joy of it, for being in nature, or whatever the subject is that she's photographing. So like, really get it. And for our children, not holding them up to this standard of perfection. Like, you want to take gymnastics, take gymnastics. It's not in the act of perfecting, I don't even know what gymnastics poses are at this point, like whatever it is, but it's the act of showing up, being in that environment, and doing something that's fun.
I think that's a great point that you brought up too, is showing your kids that you don't have to be perfect at things, because there's so much pressure on kids these days. And I mean, I'm always like shoving the concept of mistakes are fabulous down my kids' throats. But I want them to know, like, you do not have to be perfect. Like, just try. You'll never know unless you try. And to be able to not take yourself so seriously and laugh at yourself, that is a gift. Like, that is something that our kids, need to see, because I don't want to say they should be, but like, I think it's a great gift as a human being, is to be able to like laugh at yourself and not take yourself too seriously. It shows confidence. It shows, you're okay not being perfect. It's that growth mindset. There's so many gifts with just trying and not worrying what other people think, because I just wrote a blog post about this recently, but like, no one's paying that close attention to you. No, we think all eyes are on us with social media and with comparison and all this, but really, so we're all focused on ourselves. And yes, you might post something and think, oh my gosh, now everybody knows my business and everyone knows I'm doing this, but people might care and they're cheering you on, but no one is waiting to watch you fall. And if they are, then their opinion doesn't matter. They should have no weight, because those people aren't doing anything with their lives, and it's just deflection or projection. But no one's really paying that close attention. So don't let other failing because you think you're going to be doing it in front of a lot of people, don't let that stop you from doing something that's going to make your heart happy. Because when it's all said and done, and I use this in my own life a lot, but it's kind of morbid, but I always think, when I'm on my deathbed, am I going to be caring what other people think? Like, going, being on video and doing all these things that I'm doing now, like, oh my gosh, if you asked me 10 years ago if I would be doing that, even like 5 years ago, there's no way. But like, once I got this mentality in my head, like, on my deathbed, what's going to be my biggest regret? It's not going to be the things that I tried. It's going to be the things that I didn't try, that I was too scared to try because I thought other people would be watching, and no one cares.
So beautiful, so beautiful, so true. Such wisdom that we all need to hear. And that's the truth of it. Like, so many of us are not doing the things that are on our heart because we're thinking of what other people will say, what they will think, what they will do. And it's like, you said it so beautifully. If they're sitting there judging you, then their opinion should hold no weight. Period. End of story. Done. It's your life. You get one, let's go.
Exactly. You get one. You got to take care of your one body, your one mind, your passions. Yeah, it's so important.
Love it, Ali. Thank you. And I want to do a little bit of like a pivot into the GiRLiFE world. You are one of our GiRLiFE coaches. And I love to see the different hats that our GiRLiFE coaches wear, like the different things that they're doing and the different ways they're empowering the world and empowering themselves. And if I'm not mistaken, you became a health coach first and then a GiRLiFE coach,
yeah.
Is that right? Okay. So tell us.
I was in school, actually. I was in school to be a health coach.
You were in school to be a health coach. Okay.
Yeah.
So tell us about like that, I don't even want to call it a pivot. It's more of like adding a collection of things to share to what you're already offering. How did that decision come about for you?
It was pretty easy, actually, because I work with women. I knew I wanted to just work with women. And when I came across your work, I thought, what a perfect addition or like complement this would be to my practice, is to work with young girls before they get to like adult age, because it's honestly tools that when I was like taking your classes to learn about becoming a GiRLiFE coach, I mean, these are tools that I needed reminders with. And so I use the tools that I learned as a GiRLiFE coach in my own practice too with adults, because these are universal tools. I work with boys also. I have 2 boys personally. And these tools are human tools. These are all tools that we all need, and tools that I wish I had as a child. So it was just a perfect umbrella under my whole health and wellness business, because like I said, I'm a holistic health coach. I don't focus on just a diet plan. I don't even like the word diet. I'm more big picture in your lifestyle. And so, yeah, I just thought it was the perfect complement.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And you like you did some amazing things when you joined GiRLiFE. I still love those pictures that you share every summer of your summer camps with the girls. I love that you're also working with boys. I want to talk about both of those things. Let's start with the fact that you're also running these workshops for boys. I know that there was a time where I got so many requests to recreate the curriculum for boys. And when I sat down to actually do that, I realized the messages that we are sharing with the girls are the exact messages we want to share with the boys, because becoming an empowered human is about expressing your authenticity, knowing that you have this unique fingerprint on the world and so much to share, regardless of whether you're a girl or a boy. And if I were to start this program again, I probably wouldn't have called it GiRLiFE, even though I'm super passionate about empowering girls. But it's just as important for our boys to have access to these tools. So tell us about the workshops you're running for boys.
Yeah, I mean, they're literally the same thing, because it's the same, they need these same messages. I read a book recently, Strong Moms, Strong Sons, something like that. And it was talking about, how our boys are raised to think that their emotions, not that they don't matter, but they shouldn't be expressed. And so they're never given the tools and to communicate properly or to express how they feel. And what happens is these boys will grow up to become men, and they become husbands or partners. And, their partners have a hard time communicating, or they don't know how to become the best parent they can be because they don't have the tools themselves. And so I think just in the day and age that we live in, and the bullying that's gone down in schools, and the social media that they're about to, well, a lot of them are, my kids not yet, but that they're going to be exposed with, having these tools that help them develop confidence, to learn how to be their own best friend, to embrace their unique qualities, to understand that resilience is a superpower. Because a lot of kids, they don't realize like the challenges that they face are actually what makes them stronger. And so to get this verbiage and to get these ideas in their head that, I think a lot of times kids keep a lot to themselves. Some share, but a lot keep to themselves. They might be embarrassed about what's going on in their home life, or they don't know how to appropriately communicate or share. And so to understand, at least internally, that what they're going through, they're not alone, and also give them the tools to use at home to support themselves is such a huge blessing. Again, it's stuff that I wish I had access to as a young girl, but it's all, we call them like an invisible tool belt. And it's because they don't need to tell people that they're using them if they are embarrassed. But I think it's just, they have 24-hour access to these tools that they can use at any point. And there are so many different tools that you provide the GiRLiFE coaches with to teach that are beautiful. And it's stuff that I use personally too. So it's literally a win-win. Like, it's such a blessing.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. And I learned as I was creating the curriculum, probably didn't come through until I was done, that I was like, wow, this is actually first and foremost for me, for that inner young girl who didn't have access to this information, because it just wasn't the stuff that we were taught in schools. It wasn't the stuff that our parents were teaching us, not because our parents weren't awesome, but because they didn't have access to it.
Mm-hmm.
You can't teach what you never learned, right? And so that was for my inner child. And that's what I'm hearing from the coaches, is that first and foremost, it served that inner girl. And then it was the gift that they were able to give their community of girls and now boys, which is so beautiful and full circle. I'm curious myself, like, what is your favorite workshop in the curriculum?
Oh gosh, that's so hard to choose, but I'd say either gratitude or resilience.
Love it.
Just because gratitude, I think, is a tool that everybody should learn. It can change your mindset in an instant. And so I think that's a really important one. And it's also fun to create the jars and the journals, and the kids always love that craft. But resilience, because I think it's so important. I never realized how important resilience was. I mean, that verbiage wasn't even in my vocabulary at that age. So I love being able to, teach the kids all about resilience and like the obstacles, because sometimes you'll get kids and they'll share what's going on, and it's a lot. And so to get them to understand that what they're going through is actually a gift in a way, if as long as they use what they've learned through the challenges as a lesson and an opportunity. And it's like a muscle that they keep developing. And so they have survived 100% of all of the challenges so far. And it shows them, they're like, wow, I am strong. It just gives them a whole nother sense of confidence to be able to take on like another challenge, or even like something new. Like, it doesn't have to be something serious, but like even something new at school, they were maybe scared to try. They're like, wow, I was able to handle that. I got through this. Like, I can try this. Just gives them a whole nother sense of worthiness in a way. So I think it's a beautiful lesson to teach kids. And I also really love that craft too. It's a great visual.
I love it too. I love resilience. Resilience is one of the workshops I created during COVID, because we were all like, we were all tested. We were all uncomfortable. And to have that kind of information available to you, that, you are resilient and you are strong. And no matter what happens, you're going to make it through, because everything you need is inside of you. It's already there. Just like open your heart and be willing to know that you will learn and grow through this. And it's just a beautiful reframe. So I love that that's one of your favorites. Now tell us about your workshops and your summer camp. Like, how did you go about filling those workshops? Like, your visuals, like I said, they're always so amazing. You've got so many girls in each of your summer camps. Like, I know a lot of people are so interested in doing this work, but they think to themselves like, yeah, I love running the workshops, but how am I going to get people in there? And did the curriculum support you to do that as well?
Oh, 100% the curriculum is you don't have to bat an eye. Melody provides literally everything for you. You just review what you want to talk about. You review, the guidelines and the craft and everything. Like, that shouldn't even be a worry, to be honest. But my worry was promoting the workshops, because I love what I do, but as some, I'm not the best self-promoter. I'm working on that. And the first time I ran it, I had 2 girls in each. So I separated. I did 7 to 9 and 10 to 12. And I only had 2 girls in each workshop, but it was beautiful. I mean, we had the best week together. And the next summer, they brought friends. And so it was actually word of mouth that it grew, which I think is, it's a testament to the workshops, and they came back again. Like, I changed up the workshops. I mean, some of them I like to repeat just because I think they're really important. But they come back year after year, and so, until they age out. But yeah, word of mouth. And then I would promote it on like moms groups in my area. And I don't know if you have a Macaroni Kid network up by you. Do you?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. Okay. So I did it through that too. And that's really all I did. So it wasn't that difficult. Like, sometimes we overthink things and we think something has to be huge, but I would have done it with 1 kid. So as long as you're open to that and you just put your all into whoever you're serving and your heart is in the right place, people will come. And honestly, I feel like sometimes starting off small is better, because you can figure out what you want to do better next time, or this didn't work out this way, or I could have worded things better this way. You give yourself grace, and I think whatever is meant to be will be, and just let go of the rest. Because at the end of the day, if there's just one person in your chair, that's the person you're supposed to be speaking to. And you'll get something out of it too. Like, I always teach myself when I'm teaching these classes, it's always a reminder.
Yeah, it's a growing opportunity for us, but I love the fact that you said that even with 1 child, even with 2 children, this is where it starts, right? Like, this is how we start anything. We don't just, go from 0 to 100 in a second. It takes time. I love that you also said, like, you're figuring it out too. So like the first and second and third workshops that we run, we're just like growing our wings, right? And like you said, 2 kids came, and then those 2 kids became 4 kids. The 4 kids became 8 kids. And that word of mouth is a testimony to you as a GiRLiFE coach and what you bring. Also a testimony to just how word of mouth is so powerful. Like we sit and talk about social media, and social media is so important, and we talk about it in the curriculum, but really just that idea of like, how did we do things 25 years ago? It was word of mouth, and word of mouth is powerful because if somebody loves something, I always say as women, we're sharers of information. And if we have something good to share, we're going to scream it off of the rooftops. And people went and were screaming your message off of the rooftops. And that's how you accumulated this beautiful group of girls. So bravo to you. I love it. I want to be mindful of time because I promised you we'd be off by noon. I know that we have a couple of people joining us live in the Facebook group. If you happen to have any questions for me or for Ali, or even later, we'll come back and check on this and moderate the chats. Please let us know. Ali, like, I just love you so much. You are such an amazing person, an amazing woman, an amazing mother. I love to see what you're doing. I love to cheer you on and champion all of the incredible work that you're doing. I feel like you've shared so much for everyone and given everyone so many action steps. And if anyone wants to work with you further, either come to your local GiRLiFE workshops, share where and how they can do that. And if they want to work with you one-on-one, please share how they can do that. And if you have any offers for our community, where people can find you on Instagram, all the things, and I will link it in the show notes, but I'd love for you to share here.
Sure. Well, thank you. I love you too, Melody. I'm so grateful. Our paths crossed, I don't know how many years ago, 3 years ago now, I think it was, 3 or 4. But yeah, I'm so grateful. My life has changed because of this, because of honestly the tools that I get to teach, because again, they are constant reminders and it's stuff that I need to hear on a regular basis. And I just want to also say too, for anyone on the fence about becoming a coach, just, I'm a health coach, but don't feel like you have to be a health coach or a teacher or if you're a mom, even if you're not a mom, you are a woman and you have so much to give and share. And so I don't want you to think, oh, she's a health coach, it goes perfectly with her business. No, like we need you how you are. And so don't feel like just because you look at another coach and their other business and think that's not for me. Like it's for everybody.
I love
so
that.
anyway,
I really do. And I just want to just for 1 second go there. And that's so the truth. Like a lot of women who come through our doors have never had a business. That's like so okay because we teach you how to do all of that stuff. But yeah, we all come from different walks of life, and that's exactly how we need to show up, because this is how we serve the entire world, is by each of us showing up with our unique magic, with our expertise, with our life circumstances. And like I said, there can't be enough of us because each of us are showing up in a different way. So thank you for bringing light to that.
Yeah, of course. I think it's, I know, like if I was sitting in someone's seat and I would be thinking the same thing. So I just wanted to make sure. But yeah, so I am Ali Naglee Wellness. You can find me on Instagram, The Wellness Ali. And I have a private Facebook group just for women, The Wellness Ali. It's either Ali Naglee Wellness or The Wellness Ali. You can find me either way. And for all the listeners, if you are interested in private coaching, I have a special offer. If you want to just book a call with me by the end of the year, so 12/31/23, you will get, if private coaching is right for you, we'll figure that out. You'll get 20% off a whole coaching package. Just mention the word Melody. And I also have a quiz if you want to do that first to see if the health coaching is the right fit for you. And you can go to alinagleewellness.com/quiz and you can take that there. But other than that, yeah, follow along. I would love for you to reach out if you have any questions. Please don't hesitate. I'd love to answer any questions that you guys have about health coaching or about GiRLiFE, or both. But this was an absolute pleasure.
Oh, the pleasure was mine. Thank you, Allie. I'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Thank you. Bye, guys.
Everyone.